Welcome back to another episode on the Success Times Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Richard Thompson. Today, I'm joined by creative risk taker and founder of Knobby Underwear, Rob Rand. From using his house deposit to fuel an idea to building a 1 million pair a year subscription brand, Rob's story is about calculated risk, relentless creativity, and the grind behind scaling a business. We explore how curiosity, resilience, and community shape not just a company, but a culture itself. Whether you're building a brand or chasing personal goals, this one's packed with inspiration. All right, let's dive into it. Rob Rand, thank you so much for coming onto the show, mate.
Pleasure.
Chapter 1, the creative, the risk taker, the founder, right? You've talked in the past about using your house deposit, maxing out credit cards to fund this business. That is not a small leap by any stretch. Your creative background, but what I'm really interested in is your balance of risk to reward and how you are able to convince yourself at that time that that was an appropriate level of risk to take. Because there's a lot of people out there that are creative that don't come across into entrepreneurship. And as far as I can tell, it's because they can't grapple with that risk component. But you leveraged at the relevant time a lot because you believed in it. Talk me through that and what kept you pushing forward in those sort of uncertain times?
Yeah, for sure. Look, I think it's, you know what, like I think a lot of it comes back down to having that curious mindset, I think, in the end. And, you know, that's something that I've just always had. You know, you see something out there or, you know, you look at everything and you want, how can you make that a little bit better? How can you improve that? So it's always kind of come down to that. But yeah, look, I have always had that creative side in me, you know, love the creative. But I think, you know, this in particular, you know, I think taking the risk, I think that's also about persuading your wife that, you know, hey, it's good to use your house deposit. It's good to use all this money. And, you know, so that's a big part there where, you know, you have obviously a good relationship, a lot of trust there as well. But, you know, I think it all comes, you know, not necessarily down to, you know, this business in particular of Knobby, but, you know, it goes back many, many years ago when, you know, you have always taken risks, but you've also made a lot of mistakes as well. So I think in the end, you know, it's about, you know, as you get older, you do get a little bit wiser, right? It's just taking calculated risks, I think. I think that's the big one there. It's like, okay, if I lose, is it a financial thing, or is it is it a personal brand thing? Like, what am I on? What's actually being risked here? You know, and can I recover from that?
Is that the process, Rob? Like, do you, at that relevant time when you're putting that house deposit in, when you're maxing out credit cards, are you thinking, if this fails, how can I deal with that? Is that how you're doing?
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought about the failure part. I think you've got to make anything really work properly, you've got to have some sort of financial investment in something. Otherwise, it just remains a hobby, right? So you've got to really put in, and then you'll just work the hell out of it to make it work. And, you know, it'll be a grind, but you will get there.
Why did you think this project would have worked?
I don't think it was actually ever supposed to work and get to the level it got, right? I can remember saying, geez, you know what? If we just sell enough pairs of underwear to pay my $79 phone bill each month, then that would be great. Okay. Because it was like that. But I think, you know, we obviously hoped and we did know, I guess, that it was going to be much more. But I think for me, it was about never setting myself up for disappointment. Okay. I think that's the big thing. It's like, you know, you're taking these small steps and, you know, you're selling 1 pair, you're selling 2 pairs, selling 3 pairs. You're not focusing on 1,000, 2,000. Well, you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment if you don't get that. So I think that was always really important for me.
At some point, though, you would have there would have been a sort of crucible moment where you've gone, okay, I am from 1 to 2 to 3 pairs to this is it. This is the rocket ship that's going to take us to the moon. Was there a moment in time or something you saw that you were like, this is going to be bigger than we thought?
Yeah, and look, I think this comes back to like the whole brand was built on the subscription model. And I guess what was unique about that is we had an obligation then once we sold that very first pair and they were on a monthly subscription, we had to be around that second month for their second pair. And then when you start getting, you know, 5, 10 subscriptions a day and that just keeps elevating every day, that just compounds and duplicates into the next month and the next month. So you never really had a choice to get out of it. Like there were so many so many points along the way where you're like, oh shit, like, can you keep doing this? It's just such a grind and keep it going. And but you had to, because you never want to let people down. So that's what kept us going. Whereas if we were a traditional e-commerce brand just selling things, you can easily just say, hey, we're sold out.
The shop's closed.
The shop's closed. Like, it's easier, right? But that's kind of what kept us going. But yeah, the point actually where we knew it was going is, I think it was, I remember my wife and I used to always, we'd say, all right, I think it was for like every 100 subscribers we got, we'd have a drink and we'd celebrate. And then we're like, okay, cool. That was kind of happening like once a week. And then we're like, okay,
turning yourself into alcoholics.
And honestly, that's what was happening. It was like, it was going down to like 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, and then every day. And then it was just, and then we started to change it to 1,000. And then it was, but yeah, we had to stop that pretty soon because we were turning into alcoholics. We're like, this is so
8
a.m.
a.m. drinks, 10 a.m. drinks. Yeah.
So it was pretty funny like that. But they were just kind of like little rewards on the way.
Yeah, fair play. Now, take me back. You started your career in graphic design, digital branding. When did you notice in your upbringing, your folks, that the creative mind was obviously very, very a focal point, I guess, in your life?
Yeah, look, it's always been there. I think it's ever since the days of prep. There's photos still at home of constructing crazy sculptures and paintings, and so it's always been there. So I think when it was time to choose what I was going to do when I finished high school, I was going to go down the architecture route or the graphic design route. So did go down the graphic design side of it, which and then I studied that at University of Canberra for 4 years, but it was kind of during then as well, like always having that curious mindset. And I always used to look around going like, how can other people have a business and these design agencies and what's this whole .com boom that's going on, and just wanted to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started my first agency during uni there, and that kind of just evolved from that, really.
The brand, Knobby, the genesis of it, as I've learnt, was more about motorcycles and the tires on a motorcycle.
Exactly, yeah.
But you guys were based in far north Queensland. What role did that time of your life play to create this spark of going, that's what we're going to do?
Yeah, that was huge. So my wife was a primary school teacher, and we went to a little country town called Chillago up in far north Queensland, about 200 k's west of Cairns, somewhere in the middle of the tip there somewhere. And it was really convenient for me because I still managed to be able to, run a design agency from there as well. But I think that, there's a few things up there. Was, like, first of all, it's hardly the e-commerce capital of the world, right? But
it's not the silicon.
Yeah, no, not at all. Actually, back then as well, I think I was the only person using the internet in the whole town, so it was pretty crazy. Yeah, so I think that just kind of gave you a bit of time to think as well and reflect, and the whole idea of this brand, like, it wasn't just, one light bulb moment. It was a lot of ideas and a lot of pieces of the puzzle that come together. And I remember one of them was, my wife used to give me a motorbike subscription every Christmas. And I think what I loved about that, right, like, obviously the subscription model was amazing, but I knew every month I was going to get a magazine in the mail, but I didn't know the contents. And that was kind of that anticipation that I was waiting for. And I loved that. I was just always trying to rack my brain, how can I bring that into a physical, tangible product that, like, such as apparel. Another thing down there as well is this town in Chillago. There was the mail bus used to go out and bring the mail back out to town 3 days a week. And every time the bus would come back in, like, pretty much half the town would be waiting around the post office, waiting for their mail. And that was like another indicator then. It's like this power of anticipation where people were waiting for things. And, and guys weren't getting a lot of, online shopping back then. And so I kind of took the magazine subscription, the anticipation, I guess my design background and the marketing side, and I just kind of wanted to bring, creativity into textiles, but something that wasn't driven so much by trends, like, where underwear is perfect for that, right? Because it can be hidden and you can have real art in your pants, right? But it's, like, somebody could be wearing pink unicorns or whatever it is. But
purple octopuses.
Absolutely. But you're probably not going to wear that on, like, on a jacket or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of like a lot of things that came together, and always just loved the subscription model, and yeah, that's how it was kind of born. But it was just about jumping out there then and just giving it a go.
It's easy to say now, I think, from people looking in going, yeah, that would have worked, of course, or the subscription model with Shopify or with all the things set up, that's a no-brainer. But I guess you've said in the past that that category lacked imagination. But I'm interested in it's almost been, what, 10, 15 years ago since you made that decision to do, this is the model that we're going to go by. That would have taken some courage to go, because you could have been just a general e-commerce store and gone, yeah, just come and buy whenever you feel like it. You would have done research on the subscription model and gone, like, what were you basing that on to be successful? Because it's this is blue ocean strategy, right? You're going to be the only underwear supplier in the country that does this. How did you even know? How could you be confident? Or what gave you that idea? You told me the idea, the anticipation, which I love. I love that idea. And I remember as a kid, my auntie and I would send letters on the post, and every week, every day, I'd wait for and has it come, hasn't come, and then it comes, and you're stoked. So I love that. I love it. But to then go one extra step and go, no one buys subscription undies.
No way.
No way.
No. People would laugh at me when I was talking about the idea.
100%, right?
Laugh in your face. It'll be like, shit, like, am I doing this? But I think that just adds that fire to your belly, right? It's like, I think for so many years, I've been working in different agencies, and, you work across like countless clients and companies, across Australia. And I think you always trust and believe in yourself, but you never actually get to, I guess, do that because they want you to do what their way and things like that. So this is where I was finally like backing myself. I think that's what was a cool thing.
Had you done that in the past?
Yeah, had another agency, Canberra, exit out of that. They're still going today. And had another agency up here in Sunshine Coast, failed miserably. Had another small apparel brand, failed. So it's not like it just like that idea just came up and it all started working. You kind of, you make, like, whilst this one looks good and easy and all successful, but it's all the failures you don't see along the way to get there.
What are the biggest lessons from those failures, though, Rob?
Do it on your own.
Bring others. It's going to be more challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I guess doing your research, finding the right market, the right customer fit, knowing your audience, they're so important.
Did you do much market research around the subscription model for Undies? Like, because as I said, like, it's easy now to go, yeah, that works, and you guys are crushing it. But to then think, well, no one does that. So what gave you the confidence to go down that path? Or was it did it set you apart? Was it back in that time?
Yeah, look, it was a bit of both. So there was definitely inspiration from things like Dollar Shave Club back then. They were making a lot of ground. That was very cool. I loved it. I was a subscriber at one stage.
The razor's probably something more replaceable, though.
That consumable.
Yeah, right. You need it, right? And it's like every time you don't, you're like, oh, you're grating your face. But, and then almost like the undie thing is you're hoping that you don't need a new pair every month, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't supposed to be about that. It wasn't supposed to be about like, adding a new pair. It was really about giving you that kind of sense of joy, and, there was more than a pair of underwear there.
Yeah.
There was a real story behind it. And underwear just happens to be the product. We're delivering an experience in the end. And I think that's what's important. But, we didn't know it was going to work really in the end. There's no doubt about it. But I think that once you launched, and like I said, you've gone from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. But you know what as well, like, subscriptions are now probably only about 50% of the whole thing, because it's now got other categories and you can now buy outright as well. But still, people really love that experience and not knowing. It's almost like you're curating something for them each month that they wouldn't be able to choose otherwise. Yeah.
And now you're sending out more than 1 million pairs a year to members all over the world. Did you imagine at what point, other than the alcoholic line in the sand, you had to stop drinking every time that happened? But was there any moments where you're like, someone who strives for high performance, I rarely look back.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, that's history.
Absolutely.
I'm only just working on going forward. What's
Yep.
the next thing, right? And that's the journey. And
Mm.
I'm not. It's not for me at least. It's not a matter of I'm happy when that happens. It's I just love the journey of going to the next thing, not celebrating what's happened, better or for worse. But did you like what point are you? Have you had a chance to go? Shit, I can't believe we've scaled to this level, or are you similar mind and going? I'm just focused on where we're going.
We try not to forget that and sometimes try and remind ourselves. But yeah, I think I'm like you there, where you just keep moving forward, right?
It's a new normal.
It's a fast pace, and sometimes as well, whilst it's happened fast in some ways, it's also happened slow, but things do happen slow, so you don't really notice it as well. You said it is just a new normal. Like every day, that's just it, and every day you're facing the new challenges and overcoming those. But yeah, no, look, sometimes we will look back, but things are still exactly the same, right? You look back there and you have a little laugh every so often when you'd be like, hey, my wife would come home from the post office and I'd say, oh, we got one more. And she'd run back down the post office and send it again. But like now you're filling up a truck, and, a couple of times a day. So it's pretty cool to reflect back on.
And I presume you guys aren't taking the truck to the post office either.
No way, not anymore. It's funny. There's so many stories there, but that's that startup life, right?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty scrappy and you just kind of, you do what you got to do. There's almost no rules. And
what's been the hardest thing scaling?
God, so many things. But I think really,
because my head's always in scaling services, whereas this is product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for you guys?
Yeah, look, I guess in the e-commerce, world as well, like it moves so fast, just always just trying to be on top of new things, as trends come in and out, just remaining relevant would probably be the biggest challenge. I guess a lot of brands, when they start, at the time they started, their audience would be a specific audience, but then they age too, right? What was our audience, maybe if they were 20-year-olds sort of 10 years ago, they're now 30. So they're different points in their life. So remaining relevant is really hard. Definitely the Sunshine Coast has probably always been slightly challenging for us, but it's something that really reflected our culture too of the brand, which was really important. But look, we would have been probably way better being in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, something like that. Just bigger access to talent pools as well. That's really challenging here. Not saying there's not an incredible amount of talent here. It's just finding them, and we're starting to get a lot more. And as they, I guess migrating to Sunshine Coast, but that's been a real challenge too. You've got things in there from when you're getting shipping containers coming up the coast. Things do cost you a lot more, but you know what? We still wouldn't change a thing because it's an awesome place, right?
It is. Hey team, just popping in to say thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the episode, please take a second to like or follow the show and share it with a friend. It's the best way to help us grow and keep bringing you more great content. All right, let's get back into it. And that brings us to chapter 3 for me in terms of the culture and community that you're building. It seems like you've built the brand around, internally at least, strong values, I guess, bringing that risk-taking component in there and celebrating with the team. From you as the leader and creating that culture from just yourself and your wife at the beginning, has that been forefront of your mind, and how to, because it's your fourth child, right? This thing is yours and you can create it the way you want. How has your past, do you think, shaped your desire to create something as wholesome as what it sounds?
The values you kind of try and instill, in a brand, they have to be reflective of your own personal values too. That's why I think it's really important to have personal values, right? And that's why our values at Knobby, just a couple of them are like take risks, and think big. They're kind of things that I think through in everyday life too. So I think that's what really creates that culture there too. Like, sure, we've got all the lovely free food and snacks and all the great things like that, but really our culture is about just creating those high expectations and accountability and empowering your team as well to make those decisions and make mistakes, right? So I think that's what's really important to create that solid culture. But that said as well, it's a continual work in progress too. Like, it's never perfect. You think it's perfect, thought it was perfect a year ago, but you look back now and go, oh shit, like what was going on there? But that's where our culture really comes down to, like, we can provide the tools and the platform and everything like that, but it does come down to each and every one of us as well. to make what we want to, and that's what's really important.
With the team that's grown, how have you made sure that the culture stays the way you want it?
Look, it hasn't at times, to be totally honest with you. Like things just do get a little bit off track, as you're scaling, you grow teams out, sometimes you do forget about the most important things, and everybody's different. Everybody wants different things there. So, I think we always try and refer back to our values. That's really it in the end, and our purpose, and that's all we can do there. And we, obviously there's a lot of tools we do along the way, a lot of open forums, and we try and create a bit of a, I guess, a collaborative environment too, which helps as well. A bit of an open and honest environment, but yeah, culture's a tricky one. It's not so much always about, I guess, we have this and we do that. It's just really about how we do things from the start and just keeping that going.
What you're doing on the ground, I guess, with the brand, things like same day fulfillment, recycled bottle blend fabrics, which is like highly recyclable. Oh no, it's from plastics.
Yeah, that one there. And so we also do like a lot of natural fibers now as well, and this kind of goes back to just remaining relevant, right? You've also got to remain environmentally relevant too to what's going on out there,
and even using AI generated models for the products.
Yeah, done that a few times. Yeah.
Is it on your shoulders to stay relevant, do you think? Or is it something that keeps you up at night?
Yeah, look, we're definitely going through a big change at the moment too. And, it really comes down to, I can certainly lead that. We have a great leadership or exec team there where we really come together every quarter and we plan out the next quarter and, and years into the future there as well. So it's not all on me. It's, I guess I'm kind of looking at things more holistically and trying to bring everything together a little bit more, whereas a lot of others are just sort of focused on their areas. But, we're very fortunate with the people we've got here too. So, yeah, it's always a tricky one too.
And then I'm really interested to know what's the next 5 years look like, because you've got things like, you've got the million member Undie Club, your retail stores just down the road as well, an app coming, partnerships with like the Royal Flying Doctor Service.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old son just got the Risk Taker Award.
No way.
At the AFL.
Oh, the AFL. Oh, yeah, that's cool.
At the junior AFL on the weekend, and he got a beautiful little certificate.
Oh, that's cool.
That gets him a free pair of Knobby Undies from the Plaza.
That's cool.
That was the Risk Taker Award, which is like, it just seems like you guys have got, there's so many different layers in terms of the involvement with community. And so what is next? What does the next 5 years look like?
Yeah, well, like first of all, the community thing, that is a really big part of what we do. But, we weren't doing as much as what we should have, but we're really focused on that now. Like you said, all the local sports and those grassroots sports as well. It's really big for us. And I think that's where, a lot of we've got to get kids to, take more risks again and not necessarily take risks, but actually make mistakes. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, you made a mistake. Good on you. Like, now how do we improve on that or what do we do next time? And this is why, we have got actually, I think it's just getting knocked down today, is the Plaza retail store. We're rebuilding that again. So we're just creating more of a real experience store. Look, the plan is to, roll out many more stores across the country.
What have you learned from the retail experience?
So much. Like, what was initially set out to be an experiment there, because I think over the last decade, right, especially just being online only, you miss out on all the small things, like how do people engage in the product and, how do they touch it, feel it, what kind of questions are they asking, like just all those little things you don't see online. So that really helped us take that back to an online environment.
And that helped?
It helped, absolutely. We're really seeing, the Sunshine Coast area grow a lot with the brand. A lot more awareness
on the subscription model.
Just general. We don't necessarily look specific at the subscription anymore too. Like, we just, as growth in general in this region has grown significantly.
Yeah, and it's not coincidental.
Yeah, it's weird. If you had to say to me, like, even 3 years ago, would we ever do brick and mortar? I'd be like, there's no way in the world. Not going near that stuff. Just totally gone against what I've ever thought. And yeah, it's just really interesting. It's just it's been challenging for sure, even though it's just a little store, but it's just so different online. It's just completely different. But so yeah, next sort of 5 or so years, a lot more retail. Focusing on bringing some more product categories as well. Doing a bit of an international expansion at the moment too. We do have a lot of international, but in the EU there specifically, and in some of Southeast Asia as well, in particular South Korea, which is going to be a good one. Yeah, lots of cool things. I don't know. I'm just trying to think through now, but hopefully I can get some more time to run as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a complaint with the
Complaint,
awards, the awards for the kids,
yeah.
so that they get like at the quarter time and they drop their DAX to show each other
No way.
who's what design of Knobby's undies they're wearing.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's not really appropriate.
Yeah, I know. It's so like the kids just
They froth on it.
they do. That's one thing at the moment we can't keep up with the boys.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's been a massive growth area for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just love to kind of like see what else is wearing, and but yeah, hopefully we just keep rolling out more of those. What we do in the community here too, especially with the sports. So
You do a lot of running.
I do, yeah, I do a lot.
Why?
I'm actually about to go up to Rainbow today for marathon tomorrow.
Oh.
Rainbow Beach, yeah.
Okay.
Why? This is such a complex question. I always struggle to answer it, but I think like the first thing is just because I can, right? And I think once again it comes back to that challenge mindset. You want to see how far you can go, where you can take yourself. And I think that having that ultra running background has really helped me, with the brand as well, drive that. It's really got to have a lot of discipline with long distance running and, yourself. It's and I think you have to have a lot of discipline in running a successful business too. You can't just sort of laze around and do whatever.
It's problem solving too, right?
It is, and it's like it's breaking things down into milestones. That's what I find the most. It might be, say, if it's a 100K run, you're breaking things down to checkpoints, and it's really business as well. You've got to break it down into these sprints and smaller segments. Otherwise, you are going to disappoint yourself if you just look to the end.
Yeah.
That's what I do in every race. Like, cool, just get to here by this time, and focus on the next part. I think it's really important to do that. But look, I love the it's mainly focused on the trail running side, but I love that because it really helps me separate from, like I love work, I love the brand, I love what I do, but it's almost like a reset. It's just like turning your computer off, then back on again. And also being out in the trails, just even on your own and that too, I don't know what it does. It's almost like a form of meditation as well, right? Where you can think creatively as much as you like, but you can also not think about a single thing. And that's got to be a form of meditation.
It is meditation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and it just keeps you going back. Like I love it. We've turned it into now with with a family as well. It's allowed us to travel all over the place to places we wouldn't normally just pick out on a holiday, but we turn it into a family holiday as well. So it's good.
Because there's some sort of trail event.
Yeah, absolutely. So cool.
I think also for trail running, it's very similar to business in the sense that no race is the same.
No.
And no trail is the same. And it's whilst the distances are consistent, the elevation, the weather, the location, it's all very different.
Yeah.
And so you could say 100 Ks flat or a small elevation versus something that's got a huge amount of mountain, it's like they're not the same.
Not at all. No way. I remember I did a 100 at Surf Coast. It was maybe a year ago. And that was like 13 and a half hours or something. And then I did 100 in November in Cape Town, and that was 100 Ks, and that took me 25 and a half hours.
Yeah.
And like so much fitter, so much more prepared, but just goes to show you can't compare one distance to another.
Yeah, which is a fair analogy with business, right? And if you look at 100K as a financial year, you just go, well, we can have a goal, but if there's some big mountains in there,
yeah,
we're just going to do what we're going to do with milestones and checkpoints and keep going.
Oh, for sure. And then on that as well, you've got your nutrition on the way, and then how you're going to fuel the team and the business to get to the next point as well. Like, have you got the right resources and the tools and the culture and everything to get there? So, I don't know. There's a lot of similarities now.
Did you find that before you found Knobby, or did vice versa?
kind of around a similar time in a way. That's
Yeah,
like
okay.
up Chillago there. They have this wheelbarrow race.
Yeah.
And
Our one of our incredible staff members here, her husband,
oh,
they're
really?
both from far north Queensland. Her husband did the wheelbarrow race
No
with
way.
their son just recently.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we I think that's how I first of all got pulled into that, and I was like, oh, geez, okay, this is crazy. Like, no one's ever going to run like this far and that. So
It's
just
like a couple of 100K or 100 and something.
yeah, but you're in a bus and you've got a team of about 10 people, and you
Pushing
kind
a
of jump
wheelbarrow.
out. But what's hard about it is you're trying to run holding a wheelbarrow, so you don't get to swing your arms. And it's if you try running down the street with your arms by your side, it's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of just set off the journey then.
Okay.
And we moved back to the Sunshine Coast when we wanted to really properly launch Knobby, and yeah, I think the running just kind of came hand in hand, and then somehow it's really addictive, right? I don't even know why.
There's some good trails here too.
So good.
Not high, but it's still lovely.
So good. Let's going up to Rainbow Beach this weekend, and that's a 42, but that's beautiful up there. You know, a lot of it's on the sand and good run. What
would be the advice to entrepreneurs generally, Rob, that with your experience and what you've been able to achieve, knowing that you have set out to do things and failed, and this is what you've landed on. What's the advice?
Yeah, look, there's so many different things, so many different learnings on the way. But you know, I think one thing I always say is, like, depending on the business, you know, you really got to invest in your brand as well. I think that's really important. You know, that is the face of the brand. That's kind of the perception. It's going to have a tone of voice. It's got to have a personality. It's got to be relatable. You know, that's the thing. Is too many people often overlook investing in the brand there, and it just becomes like just a product as such. It hasn't really got any purpose or connection. I think that's what you really need. Like, you think about the brands you stay loyal to, you know, there's something that speaks to you. You've got to find that. Also invest in good people early. I think that's one that I've, you know, probably kind of in hindsight may have wish I did a little bit sooner as well. But, you know, it's not always easy because, you know, I guess finances are always limited as well. But I think that will definitely speed up the growth. Good people, really, really important. Yeah, I think that's, and always just, you know, and if you haven't got a financial or an accounting background, you know your numbers, that's so important. You know, this stuff's, it's not hard in the end, but just know it. And but if you don't know that well, like, engage in good people, you know, good legal, 100%. Like, not just saying that because I'm here as well, but that's what we did in the start as well. You know, we got a lot of things really properly set up.
Yeah.
You know, that really helped us a lot. You know, good accountants, things like that.
So good. All right. I really appreciate your time.
It's all right. Awesome. This was fun.
Final 5 questions. I haven't prepped you though.
Prep me for anything.
No. So this will be fun. Okay. You can take some time to think about it as well. We can edit it in post. What does success mean to you?
Being able to take a holiday. If I can take a holiday, that means that everything back there is running so well, and the longer I can take the holiday, the more successful it is.
What does happiness mean to you?
Family's an important one for me.
What does being a dad mean? You got 3 young kids? Yeah,
2 boys and 1 girl, or 11, 8, 5. It's awesome. Like, I think that once again, you know, that definitely changes you when you first have a kid, right? It changes you for the better for sure. You know, you don't worry about all the little things so much anymore, and I think that's kind of, that helps you with business too. You know, you don't focus on the little things, and just focus on what is, you know, what is right at the time. But yeah, being dad's very cool. Fun.
A piece of advice you would give to your younger self that you'd want to put on a billboard for the world to see?
It kind of goes back to before about the whole thing about hindsight and moving forward. Like I definitely wouldn't change anything. There's absolutely not, because then, you know, you wouldn't get to where you are. And I started running earlier.
Yeah, there you go. Run earlier.
Run.
How's that for a billboard?
Yeah, I know,
run.
Right? No, everything's pretty good. Like, I definitely don't dwell on the negatives too much. You know, we try and overcome everything like that. It's just, I struggle to find things that I'd want to improve in, really.
Yeah, I'm inspired by that answer. What does your morning routine look like usually?
Yeah, so I wake up, you know, around about 5:30. Try and do a 10K run most mornings if I can. You know, quickly come back, jump on emails, Depending on the morning too. Sometimes throw a bit of yoga in there as well. Um, Actually been doing a little bit of Pilates lately, which is never like my wife is always saying, "You've got to do this. It's so hard. You won't be able to handle it." And I was like, "It's so easy. You guys just lay there and do stuff." But I went and did it and nearly killed me. So, so that's been pretty good. But yeah, and then just kind of pretty much get stuck into the day. It's I work in between like a home office and also in Knobby HQ there, and a lot of our meetings are in that side of it too. But and then I will, then afternoons is generally kids sport. Try and sometimes get a second run in if I can during like, busy training periods. But yeah, I try and definitely, focus on that balance between, I guess, myself, like keeping yourself, sort of your mindset a bit healthy there as well. And actually the work side of it too.
Do you actively work on that other than going out for runs? What are you doing for your own mindset as you grow?
Other than like professional development, that as well, in there as well, I try and read a lot too.
Okay.
Read a hell of a lot. Try and do a bit of that in the mornings and nights too. I guess mindfulness, like that too. But I really, my real outlet is running.
Yeah,
it's
I get
really
that.
what I do there.
Fills your cup up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then finally, a guest that you think would be a great chat to come on the show to tell their story.
I like that Scott Galloway.
American?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Talks a bit of crap, but always pretty good. Seth Godin?
Godin, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, we'll have to grow a bit more before we get Seth on. But
That's all right. Think big, right?
100%. Take risks. My son's Undies tell me that.
Oh my God. As soon as I get out of here, I'm like, no, you should have got him. No, there's so many cool people. But you know what? I think that's the awesome thing about something like this is there's just so much inspiration and so many cool people. Like you don't have to be doing like what is perceived to be a great thing or a successful thing out there. Everyone has their own story. And I think that's been, that would probably go back to, the billboard thing is, continue to remain curious and interested in people. You know what I mean? Like I love listening to people. I love listening to people's stories. Doesn't matter who it is, because I always just get something out of it. It's just so cool. It's I love listening like that.
That's the reason why we started this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I just want to hear the stories.
Yeah.
I think everyone's got an incredible story to tell.
Yeah.
And
so
we've
true.
all got to learn from it,
Yeah, that's it. And like so many of the cool stories, like you never hear because they haven't really got a platform or somewhere to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
It's not until you start to, it's a shame, like until you really get to know somebody and then you start to open up more. It's like, wow, you've done this. I feel like an amateur.
That's why we have that last question.
I feel like I've done nothing in life compared to some people, right? Like we're just focusing on this one thing here, but yeah, so many cool things out there.
But to be able to ask that, like the inspirational guest to say, what story do you know that's out there that needs to be heard? That's the reason why we asked that last question.
Yeah.
To be able to say, all right, let's broaden this audience. Let's broaden the storytelling. Rob Brown, thank you so much for coming on the show, mate.
That was awesome. Thanks so much.
Cheers. That was another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. Next time you're ordering another pair of undies, turn to the person next to you, tell them all about the show. Huge thanks to Rob for sharing his startup journey. If Rob's story got you thinking differently about risk, persistence, or brand building, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. It's the way we grow. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a comment, or drop a review. Let's keep bringing these conversations to life. Until next time, keep pushing your limits, stay curious, and measure success on your own terms. Peace.